What is up, y'all? Just want to start off by saying that this is not a tutorial. Just throwing that disclaimer out there, but this is a video just kind of what I said in my previous video about the single GPU pass-through, that as soon as I got the other SSD, I will do a complete reinstallation of Linux, CachyOS specifically, and install Windows on my separate SSD specifically for anti-cheat games. So right now in the video, I am basically just running the Windows installer from a USB and installing Windows on the SSD, which I will do boot only for anti-cheat games such as Fortnite and GTA, which are mainly the only two anti-cheat games I really play. So that's pretty much what's running right now, just the installation for that. And once that's done, I'm not gonna set up or anything like that. I'm just literally just gonna put it aside and then work on the Linux installation. So at this point, just the basic Windows installation. If you guys make PCs, then you know how to do this already. I'm just disabling all the accessibility questions except location, because I actually like the weather and stuff. But at that point, it's just doing like its final touches with the loading process right now, and then after that, we're pretty much done with that. As I said, that's pretty much all I'm gonna do for that Windows installation. I'm not gonna install the drivers or anything just yet. I'll do it, off camera and stuff like that. But it's basically just installing the NVIDIA drivers and, Fortnite, GTA, stuff like that. But what I just did just now was switching the Windows install USB to the Linux CachyOS USB installer. So just restart the computer, pressing the hotkey to load the boot options menu, which should pop up shortly, any second now. It kind of takes a little second to boot up, but at some point keep tapping the button, but don't worry, it's gonna pop up. And there it goes. So basically I just select the USB installer that has Linux on there. From this menu I select the NVIDIA version with the NVIDIA drivers, because obviously I have an NVIDIA GPU, so it's gonna do its loading process, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, a Linux installation is basically just like a Windows installation, except it's different. It doesn't ask for a product key or anything like that. There are a couple of things that are a little bit different that I'll show y'all what I personally chose and stuff, but yeah. So when we get here, I just continue. And then when it pops up asking which bootloader I want to choose, I'm going to choose Grub, just to make it easier for the single GPU process for the configuration and stuff. But you can choose whatever you want. I recommend Grub. Alright, so that's going to load. It's going to load the online installer. And then from there, this is the basic English. I'm just going to wipe up the entire hard drive, which is only going to have Linux on there. So that's what I'm doing right there. And then I'm going to select KDE Plasma. You can select whatever desktop environment you want. From here, I'm just selecting Firefox, the printer, drivers, and whatever else I kind of need. And then from there, it's kind of confirming everything. And yeah, just gonna run the installation, and that's pretty much just gonna go. And then after it's done, it's gonna restart, and then we can work on the single GPU pass-through. Alright, so now that it's done, I'm just going to click on restart, and then I'm just going to press the hotkey in order to access my BIOS menu. And the reason why I'm doing this is to just double check my settings that you'll see in the guide once you load it up, but I'm also checking the boot order just to make sure that it's going to load up the CachyOS Grub bootloader instead of the Windows Boot Manager. So I'm just double checking that because sometimes it doesn't set the proper way, but as you can see, it's already set itself. So I'm just basically just exiting, but you just want to double check that if you're doing what I'm doing. And then once it loads, it's just gonna pop up with the grub menu, and then from there I'm just gonna select CachyOS like so, and then it's gonna load. And then once it loads, it's gonna load up the basic first time, window and stuff like that. I'm just gonna do what I prefer to do, which is load up the terminal and just pin it to my taskbar to make it easier. Then I'm gonna load up Firefox. And basically at this point, I'm just going to load up the guides, which I will literally have in the description so you guys can look at and follow and stuff like that, because I'm just going to show you guys that this is not a tutorial, but I'm just showing you guys how easy it is to get everything done. So right now I'm just downloading the Windows 11 ISO, just get that out the way, and then I'm just going to load up the other guides and stuff like that. It's literally simple, guys. It's literally simple. Like, if you can follow a tutorial, like a written tutorial, it's basically just, I don't even know. Like, it's just simple. It's simple. So I'm just loading everything up. All the links I have in the description just to show you guys pretty much how easy it is. I'm literally just gonna be following step by step. So right now I'm just getting everything pulled up. Okay, so this is gonna be kind of hard to see throughout this whole video because this wasn't really a tutorial. I'm just basically showcasing my my installation and stuff like that. But basically the first part, I'm just adding the grub bootloader options so that it can enable the IOMMU group so that I'll be able to pass through the GPU and whatever other device I need, like my keyboard and mouse and stuff like that. So I'm literally just copying word for word on the guide and then just pasting it in there. Then I'm going to update the grub configuration file, and just to make it easier, because CachyOS by default follows the fish version of the terminal, so I'm just placing in the command to change it from fish to bash, because all the commands we're going to use follow bash instead of fish, which most distros pretty much follow. So I'm just literally just doing that, just changing it to bash, which will also be in the description. And after that, I have to restart the computer to update the grub settings as well as update the terminal settings I just did, the console. So now I'm logging back in. And then when it loads back up and continue from there, which is basically just to verify that IOMMU has been successfully enabled. So that's what I'm gonna do here. And then once it is, just gonna pull up the IOMMU groups. Like, as you guys can see, I'm literally just copying and pasting from the guide. Like, the guide literally explains everything. I'm just showing y'all that it is super simple to do it with the RTX 5080. And if you guys didn't see my last video, I am running a AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3D, so I'm just following the AMD CPU part, which if you have Intel, it's also simple as well. It's just changing one command from the AMD to the Intel one. It literally has both in the guide, so pretty easy to follow. So a second ago, I had just installed the virtualization software and give myself read and write permissions for that, which is also in the guide for Dummies. That's literally what's called, Guide for Dummies. So right now I'm just setting up the virtual machine, just using the Windows 11 ISO that I installed right after I installed Linux. I am giving it half my RAM. I have 32 gigs, so I'm giving it 16 gigs, and I'm also giving it 14 threads out of my 16. And from here, I'm just setting it to UEFI, making sure the topology is correct and everything like that. It's literally all in the guide, guys. Like, I'm just following it. And from here, I'm using fdisk to get the name of the hard drive that I'm going to use for this. So I'm just copying it and pasting it in there just to pass it through. So instead of using an actual file for the hard drive, I'm actually going to use the entire hard drive. And for those of y'all who did single GPU passes before and are struggling, kind of following me along or the best you can, you might have noticed I'm not using Secure Boot or TPM, and that's because I just found it easier not to use them. But I'm going to show you guys that I'm following another guide, which is in the description as well, to edit a registry, well, 2 registry files in the installation itself to bypass Secure Boot and TPM. So that's literally, you can literally see, guys, I'm literally just following the guide exactly. If you can follow a guide, you can literally do this. It's super simple. Alright, so after doing that, everything proceeds like normal. It's not going to check for TPM or Secure Boot. So it's going to continue on to ask me which hard drive I want to use, which is literally the only hard drive that I passed into the virtual machine. So that's going to show up. I'm going to select that and then just proceed with the installation like normal. Now throughout this whole process, I have network disabled in the virtual machine, so I'm going to enter a command prompt code, which I'll also have in the description as well, just to bypass needing an interconnection, because I don't want to do the updates and require a Microsoft account and all that. I don't want to do that, so did that to bypass it and then get installed like normal. Alright, so now that Windows is installed successfully, we're going to shut it down and we're going to move on to the actual scripts for the single GPU pass-through. Now, after passing through the PCIs for the GPU, it's time to patch the ROM. So right here, I'm showing the part of the guide which we use to actually patch the ROM. It's all right there. I already have the patch ROM from my last installation, so I'm just going to use that, but I literally show you in the guide right there. So step by step on how to do that. So from here, we're going to take the patch ROM and move it to the user/share/VGA BIOS folder like in the guide says. And then after that, we are going to edit the XML for both the video and audio PTIs of the GPU so that it reads that ROM file. Now at this point, the guide for dummies is showing how to create the directories and the scripts themselves, but we're not going to do that. Just please don't do that. Literally just use the other guide that has the script already in there and everything like that. So we're just going to do a git clone to clone that directory, and we're going to run the installation file from that downloaded git to make the directories and the scripts and everything like that, so we don't have to worry about that. And forgot to mention that I named the virtual machine Win10 instead of Win11 just to make it easier, because the script already is named Win10, so doing that just to make it easier. And right here I just passed through my USB keyboard and mouse, and after that save, and gonna reboot just to make sure everything is clean. But after that we should be good to go. Alright, so after booting back up, I'm just going to close all the windows, and all that's left is to test it. So to make it easier, I'm just going to pin the virtual machine manager to my taskbar, and let's load up the virtual machine. And bam, after about a minute, the virtual machine loads. The GPU is passed through, so right now it is not in Linux, it is on the Windows virtual machine. So as you can see, we're good to go by my thumbs up right there. So it loads up, and it literally looks like a native Windows installation, except everything's kind of blown up and stuff like that because the actual GPU drivers are not installed yet. So you can actually see everything, but it's not in the best resolution or anything like that because it's running the Microsoft default display adapter. So we're going to install the drivers. And right here, I actually forgot to attach the network adapter, my actual network adapter, into the virtual machine. So I literally shut down the machine so I can load up Virtual Machine Manager again and attach my network adapter so that we can go ahead and install the NVIDIA drivers. And while it's loading back up, I just wanted to note that you can attach whatever USB device you need. So if you need to attach a webcam, a microphone, a controller, anything like that, you can control what Windows sees in this virtual machine. It's not like a regular Windows installation where it gets control of your whole entire computer and privacy and all that stuff, which, you know, we don't like as a Linux user. We don't like privacy being invaded. So the good thing about virtual machine, you got to control what Windows uses. So we're loaded back up, and my network adapter is working. You see I have internet connection. I mean, you can't really see because the screen isn't showing that good, but I said it's not a tutorial, it's literally just a showcase. So at this point, I'm loading up task managers to show you guys that it is seeing my, you know, CPU. It's showing the basically 1 terabyte of space from the SSD or NVMe drive that I passed through, and it's using the default Microsoft display driver. So we're gonna go ahead and fix that by installing the NVIDIA drivers. Now I'm just bypassing all this Microsoft Edge stuff. I really don't like Edge. I usually use Brave browser, which is why I'm downloading it right here. It's not required, but I just don't like Microsoft Edge, so I'm just quickly installing Brave browser, and then, you know, just setting as default and stuff like that. And then once it is loaded, I'm going to go ahead and install those, well, the NVIDIA app which will then install the RTX 5080 driver once it's installed and stuff like that. And as you can see, right after the NVIDIA app installed, it automatically detected the RTX 5080, so it went ahead and automatically is downloading and installing the driver for it. And then right after a black screen, as you can see, the resolution fixed itself because now the driver is installed. And I'm going to show as best as I can, but y'all can't really see that the Windows virtual machine now recognizes it as a RTX 5080 now that we got the drivers installed and everything. So it is successfully passed through. So right now I'm going to shut down the virtual machine just to show you guys, even though you've already seen it when I forgot to pass through the network adapter, that once the virtual machine shuts down, it automatically gives the GPU back to Linux. But that's pretty much it, guys. This is just a showcase, just showing you guys the guides that I followed, and if you follow it step by step, it is pretty simple to do this, you know, with the RTX 5080. I'm pretty sure it'll be easy with the 5090 as well, and even the 5070 Ti and the regular 5070. So that being said, everything's in the description, and hope you guys enjoyed this. If you do try it, let me know the results, and yeah, catch you on the next one.